This is not Alex the Butcher. This is Sim Harp. Sim, thanks for being here. You know, the reason you're here today, Sim, is we did a hunt earlier.
Right.
This is not a 12-point buck. This is not a huge animal. But this is what I hunt for early season, is small doe. I put 3 or 4 of those in my freezer. Great eating. Now, a lot of people think, oh, deer tastes like this, deer tastes like that. I think the key is in the processing, and that's what you're here for today. You're an old friend of mine, and I have watched you cut up deer several times, but today we're gonna do it on camera and show some people that might be at home and might want to do this themselves.
Okay.
So, first of all, you got to have your sharp knife.
This is about your standard 6-inch boning knife. Nothing too fancy, nothing too expensive. You don't need to spend a lot of money. It holds a good edge. It's easy to work with. But any kitchen knife will do, you know, something good and sharp. What we're trying to show people today is how to do it in their house and keep it simple without having to spend a lot of money. And this is something you can pick up at most any store.
13, 14 bucks?
Yeah, 13, 14 bucks. If you want to buy a nice one, maybe 20, 25. Just depends on where you shop. I bought this one in Lexington for about $14.
And Sam, for those who might not have sharpened a knife, it's not hard to keep an edge on a knife. Show us, if you will, how to do that.
This is just a diamond sharpener, and most knives just need a few licks on each side. Hold it at about a 10-degree angle, run it down, and just hone you a good sharp edge on it. And you might have to do that once during a whole deer, maybe twice. Depends on what kind of knife you've got and what kind of steel.
Now, we're not going to have to worry about sharpening the knife too many times because we're not cutting through much bone today.
Right.
Which is the beauty of the way you cut this deer up. There's not a whole lot of boning out. If you will, let's step over to this animal. Let's take a look at the cut side as opposed to the non-cut side.
This is the side we've already done, and as you can see, what's remaining is basically just the bone is left. Everything's been removed without the bone, so that when you get it into the refrigerator, you can actually store it a lot easier if you're not ready to process it, and that's what I try to show people how to do. And it's much safer to do it that way because you can hold a constant temperature in the refrigerator if you're trying to let it sit in there for a little while, and you can actually go out and hunt again.
Now, you have taken out the loin. Explain what you've taken off here.
We took off this section right here. We took off the sirloin tip, and this was the eye round, the top round, the bottom round, and then the sirloin was right in this section. And of course we took off the shoulder, and then the rest of the meat on the deer is basically trim meat. You have some rib meat, and you have some neck meat that comes off, and you can grind that into burger.
And then, of course, the tenderloin was right in here. And there's an inside tenderloin that you took out that lays right in here as well.
And I try to show people this because they need to do this if they can in the field. And just take a bread bag or a Ziploc with you, and this is the tenderloin right there. And what you can do is just run your knife down one side. We've already taken one out. And then the other side, and they just fall right out. But it's good, fresh meat. But it dries up quickly.
Now, Sim, right here is a plate of meat that's just, I guess you could call scrap meat, but just stuff you've taken out from in between the ribs. There's no waste. As you look behind you, man, you have cleaned this thing out. There's no waste. And here are the major groups of meat, and tell us what they are, if you will.
Here you have, this is the ham section off the rear of the deer. And what this is, you've got your top round and your bottom round. You've got your eye round, and this is the sirloin, which fell right at the end of the back loin. This is your front shoulder. It's already been trimmed up a little bit. All these pieces have been trimmed, silver seam taken off of them. This is your back loin, and this is your sirloin tip off the front of the leg. Now all these pieces, like I said, have been trimmed up, and they're ready to be cut into steaks, or you can leave them whole for roasts. And they are actually ready for eating.
You know, Sam, a lot of people like to take their meat and let it set for a couple days. Everybody has their own choice about that, and you should do what you like to do. I like to get it out of the field, into the freezer as soon as possible. That's my choice. If you don't feel like messing with it, there's plenty of processors who are doing the same thing you're doing here. But if you'd like to try it yourself, it's not that bad. It's not that bloody. It's not a huge mess.
No.
And how complicated is it?
It's very simple. It takes someone maybe 1 or 2 times to really start to get the hang of it. After their first, say, 3 or 4 deer, they've got a system worked out. It's not expensive. You'd only need maybe $40 worth of supplies and a grinder if you want, and that, you know, you can pick that up at any hardware store for like $25. You don't need an expensive one. A little hand crank one will work great.
Right. All right, let's step over here to the deer, and we're going to actually see how you got these pieces out of that one side. Let's check this out.
Okay, the first step we want to do is remove the shoulder. And the nice thing about removing the shoulder, it's really not attached to the body except with little muscle tissue and ligament. And it just comes right off. And that whole thing can be boned out for burger meat. And that's off. Now this deer was shot a little high above the neck here. The next step you want to go to is the sirloin tip. And the nice thing about it, it's already pre-marked for you. If you look, you can see a seam. And all you have to do is go right below that knuckle and follow the seam. Just come straight in, you'll hit the bone, come down the bone, and come out at about a 45-degree angle. And that is your sirloin tip. And we will peel the outside of that off, and what you'll have is a beautiful piece of meat. Very simple, very quick, very easy. The next step you're going to want to do is a little bit more difficult, but not too hard. You're going to want to remove this back ham section. The first cut will be just below this ligament. You want to leave some extra tissue so the deer doesn't fall on the ground. Just come straight into the back of the bone and follow it around both sides. And then you'll see the femur on the front.